let's move on to our fifth main topic today. Chris, what is our fifth and final main topic today?
This comes from David Miller. Hey everyone. I know that John didn't like the re-release of Avengers Endgame and wasn't happy about the new Spider-Man Far From Home. And wasn't happy about the news that Spider-Man Far From Home was getting a re-release too. But I was wondering, if you heard there's going to be 7 full extra minutes of the movie in the new release, and if that news makes you feel any differently about it coming back to theaters. Thanks. Do those 7 minutes change your feelings about a re-release?
Yeah, re-release. Folks, the movie is still in theaters. It's not being re-released, but they're calling it a re-release and whatever. Look, I hated what Marvel did with Endgame. We're calling it a re-release, and they didn't even change the movie at all. All they did was, after the credits, they added one post-credit scene, a little tribute to Stan Lee, which was nice, and a little welcome message from the directors. It was totally pointless. It was empty air. It was just for them trying to get more money out of you. And a lot of you went to go see it. Even though the movie was coming out on home video days later, that was going to have all the bonus material, still went in there to do it. Now along comes Spider-Man Far From Home. And yeah, I hate it. I'm sorry. I really like the movie, but I hate this re-release nonsense. And I'm so scared that this is becoming a trend. You know what? I said to Robert Meyer Burnett, on this show, I said, one of the things I hate about this thing, now we got Spider-Man Far From Home coming. And I don't like making slippery slope arguments, but this is a slippery slope. I said, I am telling you that if they make money on this, you're going to start seeing studios lining up to release their movie and then like 6 weeks later, now come back and see it again for the real version of the movie with all the right stuff in it. It's like, you motherfuckers, we just paid you the money to come. And I said, this is going to become, if we're not careful, this is going to become a trend. And Robert tried to alleviate my fears. And Robert's like, no, this is going to be a one-shot thing. Well, guess what? I think they just announced like Midsommar is coming out, and they're going to be doing, now come back to the theaters again, everybody, and see the real version of the movie. And I'm like, I told you these sons of bitches are going to do everything. It's like, no, you didn't see the real version of the movie. Then why did I pay money to go see it before?
Exactly.
If that's not the real version of the movie, you sons of bitches. Anyway, no, I don't like it at all. The one thing I will say though, for this Spider-Man Far From Home, is at least it's a slightly different version of the movie as opposed to Endgame, which was just the exact same movie. Nothing added, nothing edited, nothing changed. It was the exact same movie. I will at least give this Spider-Man Far From Home thing a little bit of credit that at least it's 7 extra minutes. At least they're doing that. At least it's something to some small degree, a different version of the movie. I'll give it that. But it is still BS. It is still utter BS. Now, there are some people complaining about Marvel, like, Marvel's doing it again. Technically speaking, this one's on Sony. Because remember, they're the distributor of this film. It's Sony that's putting this back out in theaters. So we can't blame, I'll blame Disney for the Endgame one, but you can't blame them for the Far From Home one. And this is them doing it. And again, this is a movie that's coming out, like we're counting down the hours until this thing comes out on home video. So why go back to it? I look at this, number one, I hate the fact that they're even doing this, and I hate the fact that this is going to become a trend with Hollywood studios. I want this to be burned with fire. I will give it credit for the extra 7 minutes, but to me, the fundamental question is that enough to go back to the theater to watch it again? Hell no. No, not at all. So that's my thought on that. Chris, what about you?
Absolutely not. I will not go back to the movies for 7 more minutes. And I am the biggest Spider-Man hype girl. I'm not going to go. That would be a really cool thing to get me to buy physical media. I would pay to get a DVD that has 7 extra minutes.
Sure, but then you have it.
And then I have it forever. And it's mine. And I watch it. I'm not going to go to the theater again. We've talked ad nauseum on this show about how expensive it is to go to the movies. It's a whole ordeal. I don't like people trying to take my hard-earned money so that I can get 7 minutes in heaven with Peter Parker. I don't want 7 more minutes of a movie. I want it there the first time or not at all. Like, right. I don't enjoy this money grabbing move because that's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I agree. Now, look, if this was like a Lord of the Rings thing where they were adding maybe 30 extra minutes
Exactly.
or something, and it fundamentally changed the movie, and now you're going to see the version where Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield show up to give Tom Holland some advice near the end. Okay,
And Ryan Reynolds shows up and they kiss.
Yes! You give some really big fundamental differences, maybe, but I just can't see how this is even remotely worth it. Well, listen, I made that the topic of today's question of the day. And if you want to see the question of the day, you just go over to my Twitter, which you can see the address for there. It's just simply at John Campea. And the question of the day that I posed to you guys, and I put this up just before the show started, was Spider-Man Far From Home extended cut has an additional 7 minutes of footage that isn't in the original version. Is that enough to go out and see it again? As of right now, 1,700 of you guys have casted votes for that. 15% are saying yes, you're going to go back and see it again for those extra 7 minutes. 85% of you guys are saying no, that is not enough to get us back into the theaters again. So the question is for you guys, if you guys want to go cast your vote, just go over to my Twitter, cast your vote. I'm going to leave that up for the rest of the day. So the question for the rest of you guys is simply that. Is it enough? Is 7 minutes enough? Now, maybe some of you are planning on trying to go out and see it 1 or 2 more times before it leaves theaters anyway. That doesn't count. Are you somebody who was like, I've satisfied with what I've seen, but now there's 7 extra minutes? Is that enough to convince you to go back? For me and Chris, it's not. Maybe for you it is. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.